Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Mig Moreno. I am Deputy Secretary Treasurer of the Asian Bankers Association, and I welcome you to this webinar on the digital transformation in the Maldives. This webinar is co-organized and co-hosted with the Bank of Maldives, the leading financial institution in the Maldives, a full-service bank offering the complete range of personal service, corporate services, as well as Islamic services. This webinar will be divided in two parts. The first part will show the macroeconomic conditions of the Maldives, and the second part will be more into the key performance factors in the bank itself. The first part will be presented by Abdulla Hassan, Director of Financial Strategy and Planning, with more than 20 years in banking, public finance, and debt management. Mr. Hassan brings a long experience in governance, and having been in the as a board member in the Bank of Maldives, have a long understanding of the conditions not only the bank but also of Maldives as a country. The second part is more into the internal operations of the bank, will be led by Moosa Nimal, who is the chief business officer of the bank, also a person with long experience in banking, and who has been in charge of many operations in the banks, like branch operations, customer services, international banking, and retail banking. He knows the minutiae of the bank, and for that reason, he was assigned to explain the internal operation of the bank. So now that we have a clear understanding of what's going to happen.
I'll start with the macro side, and my colleague, Mr. Moosa Nimal, will take you through on the Bank of Maldives. So I'm sure Maldives is quite famous for natural beauty in terms of tourism. So Maldives is about 1,192 islands, small islands scattered across in the Indian Ocean. The topic today is obviously the digital transformations, and Maldives has a quite good story in terms because the geographical isolations dispersed of these islands makes it a very good case for digital transformation, especially on the banking itself as well. We are dominant bank in the Maldives, and we're being considered as the national bank as well. And we do have our fiduciary duty to our nation in terms of delivering our service to these scattered islands. But to give a very brief overview of the Maldives and the Maldivian economy, so the main economic sector in Maldives is tourism. Directly and indirectly, it contributes about more than 60% of GDP is from tourism. Last year, we welcomed 2.2 million tourists, and out of these 1,192 islands, there are 187 islands where people live. The rest of the islands, about 180, again, 180 islands is resorts. The rest of the islands is still uninhabited. In terms of the tourism capacity in the Maldives, almost 70% of the tourism capacity is through these resorts. Maldives has a very distinct tourism industry where one island is considered as one resort. The capital of the Maldives is Male, which is around 2 kilometer length island, which is located in the center of the Maldives. In terms of some of the macroeconomic highlights, the total receipt from the tourism is around $5.3 billion per year. Last year, it was estimated around 5.3 billion. Our per capita is around 12,326. Our total economy is around $7.5 billion. So in terms of the size of the economy, we are a very small economy, but still in the region, we enjoy one of the highest per capita, which is $12,326. In terms of the GDP growth, last year we expect to grow around 5.4%. On an average, Maldivian economy has been growing between 5 to 7%. Despite Maldives being one of the economy which imports almost everything into the economy, and with the global inflations on the increasing side, we're able to maintain our inflation at a stable level. Currently, where our inflation is expected to be around 4%. The main industry other than the tourism is fishing industry in Maldives. On the macroeconomic, I would like to take you through some in detail some of these indicators. As I've mentioned, our GDP growth is somewhere between 5 to 7%. Inflation has been well maintained below 5%. One of the challenges to the Maldivian economy is actually on the fiscal side. I'm sure if you have been following the Maldives, 2026 is one of the most challenging year. $500 million sukuk was issued in 2021, which was matured in 2026. $500 billion compared to an economy size of 7.5 billion in terms of refinancing risk. In April, we have successfully paid the sukuk, and also there was a swap arrangement from the Reserve Bank of India, which is $400 million, which again matured in April, which has been repaid as well. So in terms of the challenges on the fiscal side, especially on the foreign currency debt service, Maldives has serviced almost 90% of its debt for the year 2026, which is the most challenging year that we have ever seen, and we expect to ever witness for the 2020 until 2030 even. For the next 5 years, there is no significant bullet payments that is coming due in terms of foreign currency debt service. So on the fiscal side, we are seeing, especially after the recovery from the COVID, which was one of the most significant shock to our economy. For the first time, our borders were closed in 2020 over the history of Maldives. Maldives being very reliant on tourism, COVID is directly impacted the travel of the country as well. Maldives experienced a contraction of the GDP by almost 37%. But the tourism industry in Maldives has always been very resilient. Whenever there is a shock, Maldives get impacted, but still recovers quite rapidly and quickly. Even after COVID, it took 2.5 years to reach the pre-pandemic level in terms of size of the economy. In general, the Maldives is very reliant on tourism, and tourism is very vulnerable to external shocks, but still the Maldivian tourism industry is quite resilient because we always recover quickly. In fact, Maldivian economy has been one of the economy which recovered from pandemic the quickest. In terms of the debt to GDP, mentioned that 2026 is challenging, and since we have serviced almost all the significant debt service for the year 2026, to GDP path remains elevated due to fiscal deficit. But we expect this year and the coming years over the medium-term fiscal deficit to be on a decline path, which will improve the debt to GDP as well. In terms of the reserve foreign currency, by year 2025, we had 1.3 billion, even after servicing almost $1 billion in foreign currency debt service in the first half of 2026. Our gross reserve is still more than $700 million. Our usable reserve being more than $200 million. The Maldivian economy is quite small, and the number of participants in the economy is small as well. In terms of the Bank of Maldives, growth of the Bank of Maldives and the role of the Bank of Maldives is very much related to the Maldivian economy, and we are an integral part of the Maldivian economy. We are not just a financial institutions which operates in the economy, but rather we are a pillar in the economy. The size of the Bank of Maldives compared to the Maldivian economy is quite significant. Our assets is equal to almost 40% of the GDP. So which signifies the size of the Bank of Maldives and the role of the Bank of Maldives in the Maldivian economy. We have 8 banks operating in the Maldives. Some are locally incorporated, and some of them are branches of the foreign, and some are subsidiary of foreign banks. In terms of the regulatory framework, we have Bank of Maldives is a listed company which is being governed by the Capital Market Development Authority. In terms of the banking, the central bank is the Maldives Monetary Authority, and we operate under the Banking Act and the banking regulation governed by the Maldives Monetary Authority. We have the Maldives Stock Exchange operating in the economy as well. Bank of Maldives share being listed in the stock exchange as well. Other than banking financial institutions which provides payment services, insurance services, and financial corporations like Finance Leasing, Housing Development Finance Corporation, and also SME Digital Bank, which is a subsidiary of Bank of Maldives now. In terms of the banking industry and the growth, so annual increase in deposits over the past years, we have experienced about 3%. The assets has been growing about 4%, and the capital growth is around 8.5%. Our non-performing ratios are maintained at a very stable level. Currently, the industry is around 4%, while the Bank of Maldives is around, last year it was around 5.7 as per IFRS. So on the return on average equity is around 14.4%. Bank of Maldives enjoys almost 15% return on assets. In general, banking sector in the Maldives is doing quite well, and the Bank of Maldives being half of the industry. Here, we will specifically talk about Bank of Maldives, and my colleague Nimal will take from here. Thank you.
So thank you, Abdullah, very much for that insight into Maldivian economy and some insights into banking sector and the Bank of Maldives sits in the industry. So first, I would like to go over some key information about the Bank of Maldives, and then I'll run you through some of our digital transformation initiatives as we go along. So, as Abdullah has highlighted during his presentation, Bank of Maldives is the largest bank in the country, and we hold nearly 50% of the country's balance sheet in terms of assets and liabilities. Our customer base is 390,000. So to give you some perspective, population of Maldives is roughly 500,000. So with the customer base of about 390,000, adult bankable population, I think almost 90% of the population is covered by the Bank of Maldives. In terms of our reach, as you all know, Maldives is a geographically dispersed country, nearly 1,200 islands and close to 190 islands where people live. In order to reach the wider population, and we have branches across the country. At the moment, we have 49 branches, at least one branch in each atoll of the Maldives, and some of the branches will have 2 or 3 islands where there's a bank branch. We have 1,200 employees, and over 99% of our employee base is Maldivian. In terms of businesses, we provide merchant services, and particularly around e-commerce across the Maldives. We have 6,000 merchants who accepts all major global cards and the payments wallets across the Maldives through our acquiring services. Across the Maldives, we have 208 self-service banking centers and 340 ATMs, and at least each island will have a Bank of Maldives presence there in the form of a branch or a Bank of Maldives ATM with deposit, withdrawal, and other functions. Our vision and strategy. Our aspiration is to become the best digital bank in the region and the bank of choice in Maldives. And the key focus areas are digital first, because we believe banking industry is evolving and we need to keep up with the technological advancements. The value or core focus in our strategy is customer service. We believe no matter how digital we go, no matter how automated we become, banking is still a very personal business, and we still want to retain that personal touch with our customers. So everything we do, our customer is at the center of our minds. And of course, Maldives being in a country where there's a huge risks in terms of climate changes, sustainability is also a key focus while we run our business. If we look at our strengths, we are the leading bank in Maldives. We have the highest customer base, almost 90% in the retail sector and almost 100% coverage in the business and SME sector, because every business, they open their shop or they start the operations, they would always by default come to the Bank of Maldives to open their accounts and set up merchant services, because almost every one of their consumer base will have an account with Bank of Maldives. We lead the market across all segments, retail banking, corporate, and SME banking, as well as card and payments business as well. And we have the most number of self-service banking and ATM coverage across the country, and the biggest networks in terms of the banking service in Maldives. And additionally, we are also the largest employer in the banking sector in the Maldives. So historically, Bank of Maldives has been the pioneer and leader in terms of the developing banking industry in the Maldives. With many firsts, we were the first bank to launch POS and e-commerce merchants in the Maldives. 20 or so years ago, we were the first bank to launch credit cards and debit cards in partnership with all the global brands. We were the first bank to launch internet banking and mobile banking, self-service banking, e-wallet and mobile POS and M-POS services in the Maldives as well. And I would also like to highlight that we are the exclusive acquirer and the issuer for American Express cards in Maldives. And we work with all major card brands and international wallets through our partnerships. To go over some numbers, our ATM transactions, these are the numbers from 2025. So throughout the year, through our ATMs, conducted 14 million transactions in a year, which is valued over $40 billion. POS card transactions were over 55 million with 20 billion rupiah in value. Our customers conduct 87 million card transactions throughout the year last year. E-commerce transactions, out of these e-commerce transactions were 90 million transactions. And we facilitated 361,000 international transfers to our customers last year, and internet banking and mobile banking transactions were over 134 million transactions last year. And I'd like to highlight that each day, on average, we get 1 million logins to our internet banking and mobile banking platforms, which is a significant number in the perspective of if you consider Maldives is a country with a population of just 500,000. We work with a number of international payment and banking partners, mainly across Asia, Europe, and the United States. So on the screen, you see some of the correspondent banks we work with. And in terms of payment networks, we accept RuPay, Amex, Visa, MasterCard, UnionPay, Discover, Alipay, and WeChat Pay. In addition to these, all major global wallets like Apple Pay, Google Pay, and some other payment wallets are accepted. So if you travel to Maldives and even the most remotest island of the country, and if you pull up your card or any of the globally accepted digital wallet, you will be able to make this payment through a Bank of Maldives merchant or use your card at any of our ATMs located across any islands in the Maldives. So challenges. We have faced some challenges because of the geographically dispersed nature of the country. Our aim is always to make sure banking service is provided across the country and everybody is included, no matter where they live or no matter how far the distance of the island is from the main capital island, Male. And reliance on cash, particularly in the outer atolls, was quite high, even though digital solutions existed. And we are import dependent economy because everything, almost over 99% of everything we consume is imported from abroad. And then the USD availability becomes a challenge because for imports, we need a strong source of USD liquidity for the country and for the bank as well. To address these geographical challenges, a few years back, we introduced an agent-based banking model where we made arrangements with the biggest trader or the merchant in local islands to provide cash withdrawal and deposit services for our customers. But the limits were quite small, with the withdrawal limit of 2,000 rupiah and deposit limit of 10,000 rupiah. Similar functions to ATMs, but scale is a bit smaller when you compare to the ATMs. But the challenge was these shops in the islands are quite small, and the availability of cash was a challenge. In order to sustain, they needed recycling of cash. It means they needed people to deposit cash in order to provide the withdrawal service. But many islands we saw that there was a gap between the deposit and withdrawal for the agents, and we were not able to sustain this service. So we thought of some solutions. The first thing we wanted to do was expand our network throughout the country in terms of physical presence through branches and ATMs. So we opened quite a number of branches last year in some of the new islands. We opened around 12 branches, and we started a project to ensure that every island, no matter how small they are or how far they are, they have an ATM, BML ATM that accepts all major cards, and giving the local community and the businesses the ability to deposit their cash and then do the transactions through digital channels. We also strengthened our digital banking platform, particularly internet banking and mobile banking platform, and almost all types of transactions that our customer conducts can now be done online. And for personal banking customers, all the applications made online. For business customers, many of their requests can be made online, and we are working on enhancing these services as well. Towards the end of last year, we introduced currency a digital wallet as a mode of giving more ease as an additional payment method for our customers and merchants, with the vision of making this the main digital wallet of the country that can bring the Maldivian payment system or Maldivian banking industry into the global stage. So if you look at the ATM network expansion, by the end of 2023, we had 138 ATMs across 73 islands, and we undertook this project last year to install ATMs across the country in all islands. And by the end of the year, we installed additional 105 new ATMs. And today, by the end of the year, we have 340 ATMs across the inhabited 187 islands in Maldives. And in addition to that, earlier this year, because Maldives is an economy quite dependent on tourism, and the local islands have tourism-related businesses and inflow of dollars, we saw the need of USD ATMs in these islands, and we installed USD ATMs in 77 islands across the Maldives, where tourism is a big part of the local economy. In order to make this project a success, we try to figure out how do we install this many ATMs in a short span of time. Traditionally, we were able to install about 10 to 12 ATMs in a year because the construction and the international logistical challenges because of the geographical disparity in Maldives. So it took a lot of time to construct the ATM booths, get the ATMs to the islands, and to complete the setup of the ATMs. Found a solution where we can import prefab ATM booths that's ready plug and play manufactured abroad, and we supplied these ATM booths to all islands. And when these reached, it was just plug the ATMs, connect to the island's power grid and the internet network, and we were able to operationalize each ATM within a week or so when they reach the respective islands. In addition to expanding our ATM networks, we foresaw the need to change how our branches operate, because 99.7% of our transactions now happen online and outside of a branch. We didn't see the need to have a traditional branch setup where our staff sit behind a counter accepting application forms and cash transactions. So we changed the branch model to sales and service centers, where our staff become sales and advisors rather than tellers and administrative staff who collect customer application. Our staff are now more focused on helping the customers, advising the customers, rather than staying in the branch. They will be now a significant part of the branch. Teams will always be on the move, traveling through the atolls, visiting homes, visiting the businesses, creating awareness about banking products, scam prevention, and so on. So next, I'd like to show a video of how we carried on the ATM expansion project. The initiative to cover entire Maldives with the ATM's bonus and award, chorus regional award for financial inclusion. One might think how ATM can be considered as part of the financial inclusion. We made sure no matter how far the island is, or how remote the island is, or how small the island is, how less populated the island is, we wanted our presence to be there. We wanted to enable our customers to get included in the banking system. Still, many of these islands, there are businesses that are very much dependent on cash, like fishing, agriculture, crafts work, etc. And we wanted these people, they didn't have any way to deposit their money into their account. They'll have to travel to a nearby island, spend 100 or 500 rupiah, depending on the distance to the island with the most. With these people who are working in these cash dependent businesses, they are now able to deposit their cash collections through the ATMs and then conduct their payments and banking needs through the digital solutions available. The most key digital solutions that our customers use are our internet banking platform and the mobile banking app, which is developed in-house by our own developers, which are 100% Maldivian products. In addition to internet banking, we provide POS terminals that comes with acceptance of all major global card brands and wallets. We also provide payments through static and dynamic QR codes. We also have a digital merchant solution with a merchant portal, and MPOS is a digital version of a POS terminal where its POS payments can be taken using a mobile phone using a QR code. And we also provide unattended terminal service to some of our customers, like vending machines and other kiosks. Our most recent innovation is our Swipe, which is a multi-currency digital wallet. It's fully developed by a local team within the Bank of Maldives, all Maldivian developers, and the targeting global and the local market as well. It supports multi-currency accounts, virtual accounts. We use a solution from one of our partners where Maldivians can open a virtual account in jurisdictions like US, Europe, or the UK for receiving payments from these jurisdictions. Another target is to reduce the reliance on traditional payment rails and make payments more efficient and faster, particularly cross-border payments. In addition to that, lower the cost for our customers acquiring payments. So we launched this wallet earlier in the year with features like instant transfers between P2P and QR-based payments across all our merchant networks, and receiving currency or payments from international customers. This includes features like transaction tracking and spending insights. We also enabled fully digital onboarding for customers and merchants without submitting any documents. KYCs are done online. We conduct screening for international sanctions, and it happens real time, including face verification. And this is available for both local BML customers and customers from all over the world. And these wallets can be funded through link to a BML account through the internet banking, or for customers who are not banking with Bank of Maldives, they can just get onboarded your cards and top up and use the wallet to make payments locally to local businesses, resorts, and guest houses. Explained earlier, we do accept all major card brands and wallets through our network. Our offering is a unique blend of ATMs, physical presence in the forms of ATMs, branches, and personal touch in the forms of our staff traveling across the Maldives, visiting customers, speaking to the customers, and our digital solutions that contributes to the network. Our new branch concept of no longer staying in the branch and working outside together with our customers and engaging with the communities has benefited a lot. With these changes, we are able to create more awareness and get more people onboarded to the digital channels. We have completed moving almost all our applications, including credit applications, online. That's it on my presentation, and would like to open for any questions.
Now we are back to the Q&A section. It was a very extensive presentation that we got here. Even though Maldives might have a small population, but you were very, very precise in presenting the economic conditions, as Abdulla did. And you, Moosa, you went into the details about why this digital transformation is for real. Yes, your bank is doing a lot of work on that. And given the geographical conditions of the country, it makes sense what you're doing, and it appears to be quite successful. So with that in mind, there are some questions here in the Q&A. Is there any restriction on the fees and charges charged to customers? Who wants to take this one?
A very good question. In there are some practices and regulations from the monetary authority that they keep a very close eye on anti-competitive practices. In terms of competition in the Maldives, we as you see through our presentation, we have 8 banks here operating in the country, and few local banks as well, and we hold the major share of the market. We don't compete each other on the pricing, and we try to keep pricing stable so that the banking industry can grow in a sustainable manner.
Yeah, very good. I mean, it's a small country. I think it's the benefit of everybody to keep a friendly relationship. And besides, the monetary authority is also close by. So competition is good, but sometimes we have to manage properly that impetus to win, right? I was thinking something that Abdullah mentioned about 2.2 million tourists. How you are capitalizing on this opportunity? I know that you have some onboarding on the spot or something like this, but you have more tourists than population. So what is the strategy here?
The Maldivian population, as Nimal mentioned, is around 500,000, and we get visitors across the year more than 2 million, which is higher than the Maldivian populations. What we found out is that every tourist that arrives to Maldives spend to the economy on an average around $2,350 to the economy. And Bank of Maldives plays a very critical role in capitalizing these things. The first thing is that we make sure that it comes through one of our channel. Almost the tourism inbound about $5 billion per year. More than 70% of this inbound comes through our networks. So there's one way that we capitalize those things. And apart from that, we make sure that we do provide the supporting services to these industries, properties, where we can capitalize on these inflows. The thing is that we have, in terms of strategic perspective and outlook, Bank of Maldives has been purely operating on the deposits of the customers. We have never relied on any external borrowing. We don't have any external borrowing on our books even till now. There was a limitation in the economy. One of the most critical bottleneck in the economy was the capacity at the Velana International Airport. Maldives at a given year can welcome not more than 2 million tourists. Extending the operations, we were able to welcome 2.2 million. So there is the limitation of the airport. But recently, we have expanded the international airport, the main international airport, the Velana International Airport, from 1.5 million tourists per year to more than 7 million tourists per year. And also, we have developed, Maldives has developed, expanded 2 additional airports, one in south and one in north. So what we see is that given there are properties that is coming into the economy, into these areas, Bank of Maldives is willing to support to develop these properties. The anticipation is that every tourist brings more than $2,000 into the economy, and more than 70% of that is to the Bank of Maldives. So on a commercial perspective, we are not only looking at the interest gain from lending to these industries. It's the supporting service that we extend, that we strategically place ourselves in terms of growing our business. So yes, the higher volume to the country will definitely, Bank of Maldives will be the main financial institutions who will be capitalizing on this. I hope.
I mean, it's an amazing number to have that number of tourists. Now, if you had to identify the three biggest factors that have driven Bank of Maldives' digital transformation, what would they be? I don't know.
A very good question. I think that the first and the most important factor in order to implement a digital solution or digital service strategy is the infrastructure in any country. And in Maldives, the internet infrastructure is quite good. And even the most remotest island with the smallest population will now have high-speed fiber internet available. And also that's one of the key factors. And another thing is the internet penetration and smartphone penetration in the country. Maldives is no longer developing third world economy. It's emerging economy. I think it's considered as least among the least developed nations, and the standard of living is quite high, and the smartphone penetration is quite high. Almost everyone, irrespective of their age or line of work they are in, they'll have a smartphone that can be used to access any digital solutions, not only the financial solutions, any digital solutions within the country. So these two factors played a very important role in enabling us to introduce these services. Then the most important factor is the team we have within the Bank of Maldives. We have a good strategy, a management with a forward-thinking focus that believes digital and AI and these things are the next say the upcoming trends in the banking sector. And we have a quite good team of internal developers here with us. So we were able to understand the market, what the customers need, and their ability to transact, go online, use digital platforms, and the internet literacy is quite high in the Maldives as well. So with the talent we had in-house, we were able to deliver what the consumers or what our customers need. So if you consider three main factors, the infrastructure, the penetration, and in the talents and the strategy we have within the Bank of Maldives.
You told me that the connectivity is through fiber?
Both fiber and data as well. So I think almost all the islands now have at least 4G connectivity, which is more than enough for digital services or even streaming, if you consider.
Yeah. But your distances are huge. I think you're going to implement also satellite to some islands outside the ranch, I guess.
Yeah, I think Starlink internet is here in Maldives, and even without it, without the satellite, our telecom providers, we have two major telecom providers in the country, and they have penetrated into all the islands quite heavily, both the mobile data and the fiber cables as well.
Good, very good, very good. I have a question here from the audience. Another one. He said, the macro data presented show that there was a huge dip in the economy in 2020, COVID. Okay, we know the suffering at that moment. What was the impact on the banking sector? I'm talking about the sequel, the consequences of this hit in 2020 until now. I mean, how many years have passed, and are you still suffering the consequences of this?
The COVID brought quite negativity into the economy, and also every shock to an economy is a shock to the banking sector, and also it brings opportunities to the bank as well. So particularly the COVID 2019, the pandemic 2019 is a very unique. One of the most challenging threat was the almost all the economic activity in the Maldives was on hold. Maldives is a very small economy where it depends heavily on the sovereign side as well, because the portion of the aggregate demand of the sovereign driven is quite huge. On the public sector, out of the working population, I believe more than 30 or 40% of the working population actually employs in the public sector, including the government and the state-owned enterprises. So a huge demand in the economy is created by the government spending. And the government spending, the revenue of the government was dropped by 50% due to COVID, which contracted the economy by 37%. But still, the government continued to support the economy because the government knew that if they cut the expenditure proportionately to match with the revenue, then there will be several businesses which goes bankrupt, and it will be very difficult for them to start over again. So strategically, the government were wanted to place when things becomes normal, when the borders reopen, the business should be in a position where to restart as soon as possible and to do the recovery. And that's one of the reasons why. So that this particular things became an opportunity to the banking sector as well. And in fact, the only sector which was performing during the pandemic with this shock is the banking sector, financial institutions. Bank of Maldives is one of the bank which was heavily capitalized, and still the capital adequacy ratio of the Bank of Maldives is quite strong even now. With this heavily capitalized banking industry actually help the financial institutions, help the Maldivian economy to navigate through this sector. The opportunities that was brought is there are multilateral bilateral partners who extended their help to the economy, and some of them were channeled through the bank, especially the Bank of Maldives, the International Financial Corporation, Asian Development Bank, and other multilaterals. They allocated funds, including the international monetary, they allocated funds to sustain these economies. And this became an opportunity to the banks to help the customers to rebound after the COVID. And also in terms of suffering, yes, we suffered on the foreign currency shortage during the COVID because with the tourism stopped, it stopped the foreign currency inflow as well. But luckily, the price of the fuel, one of the most significant outflows for the foreign currency is to the fuel. And the price of the fuel crashed. It came as low as $7 per barrel, which helped to contain the outflow as well. So are there still spillover impact of that COVID? The straight answer is yes, because during the COVID, government has expanded the fiscal deficit. On the first year itself is around 23% compared to the GDP. The second year is around 17%. And that accumulation of deficit into the sovereign side is more like bringing additional local currency liquidity into the economy, which is still one of the reasons why there is a difference in the parallel market versus the offshore rate. So the spillover impact on the foreign currency still continues.
Since our reserves are quite strong and our capital were very strong, we were able to support our businesses and the individuals as well. And we had the entire country on loan moratorium for 18 months. And we were able to help these businesses and individuals with their cash flows given the difficult times. And a positive thing that happened with COVID was enhancement or uptake of our digital solutions. So people, I think this is common across the world. People who were previously more reliant on cash, they started moving into digital solutions and alternative solutions, and it did help as well to promote our digital solutions and the reliance on cash. And we do see a trend of declining cash transactions every year since COVID. So I wanted to highlight that as well.
Good, very interesting. As Abdullah said, there were two sides. One, the negative, but also there was some push toward the transformation, not only at the corporate level, but also I think the population knew that they had to go this way. So that was good. Now I have another question here. We have still a few more minutes. In the video, you have some presentation about the ATM. Here it says, looking back at the nationwide ATM expansion project, what was the biggest challenge for your team to overcome, and what ultimately made the project successful?
The biggest challenge, of course, it is the Maldives and was the geographical dispersion of the islands and the logistical challenges that's associated with it. And as I said previously, we were able to just launch 10 to 12 ATMs in a year. And we had a target of installing over 100 and 105 ATMs to be exact within a span of like 9-10 months. And how we the it was a technology in the construction industry that helped us overcome this challenge. Prefabricating the ATM booths outside of Maldives, importing them and making sure they reach the islands before our teams went up to set up there, and we were able to successfully manage it. And we had a very strong team internally as well, managing the logistical and the technological aspect of this.
How has the Maldives' unique geography shaped your approach to innovation and financial inclusion?
Just to give you a brief idea of the challenges here first. I think when we talk about the Maldives, we are talking about the inhabited population is about 200 islands. And these islands are not close by. And these islands are not in a single atoll even. We are talking about some deep channels where the sea, some of the days the sea becomes very, very rough in order to reach them. And some of these islands have population as less than 200 people on these islands. So when we try for the financial inclusions, as the national bank and as the dominant bank in the country, where the government of Maldives owns more than 50% of their majority share with the bank. So we try to cater for this population as well, because for every customer is equal to us, and we try to provide an equal service to these customers. So digital transformation is the only way we can provide this equal service. But we are talking about when the Bank of Maldives was incorporated about 43 years back. We're talking about accessibility of digital channels were limited and not presented to all. So how did we started our journey? So the first thing, as Nimal, I think when he gave presented, he mentioned our journey to this digital transformation as well. But I would like to bring a different perspective as well. So we started with recruiting agents to these islands. And then we started a project called mobile banking. And this particular mobile banking is not the mobile phone banking, but rather a traditional vessel traveling from one island to the other, carrying our staffs, meeting the community to bring the human touch, to the community. And we're talking about onboarding customers physically, and most of these people live in the islands and they don't have any channels to communicate to us, and also to request for the banking service as well. So, but still, we believe that we have to onboard them onto the banking, and we have to provide the banking service equally to these customers. So to overcome these challenges, and as Nimal mentioned, so Maldives is quite penetrable in terms of digital digital devices, and almost everyone uses now mobile phone, and they have access to internet or in these remote islands as well. So that's where we started our digital journey, because we knew that to provide an equal service to the customers, or banking service to the customers, to the communities living remote on these islands, it's not by having an agent there. It's not by traveling us on a regular frequency basis to these islands. It's rather to provide the service on the spot when the customer needs it. So to do that, one of the new initiatives we have done is to put a self-service banking unit in all these islands that we have completed. And we, as Nimal mentioned, now we are concentrating more on to bring the human touch component to provide these services. That will be one of our core focus for the coming years.
Thank you for the extensive explanation. Moosa, do you want to add something?
I'd like to invite all of you to the 42nd ABA General Meeting and the conference we are going to have here in the Maldives. I think it will be a very different and unique experience. The conference will be held in a resort in the Maldives, Kurma, Maldives, and instead of usually people who have been to the ABA annual conference, you've experienced it is a two-day conference, and this time as a change, we are going to have a 3-day conference with banking in Asia. Invest to build resilience, and we put together what we believe is an exciting program, bringing together some of the banking industry's most respected leaders, experienced practitioners, and internationally renowned speakers to share their insights and experience. So whether if you're interested in digital transformation, AI, sustainability, risk management, or the future of banking, so there will be something valuable for everyone. As I said, it will be a 3-day conference with keynote speeches and interesting panel discussions. Our website is now live and registrations are open. So we encourage you to go over the website, see the content. If you're interested, just join us. You can bring your family or spouse and enjoy what Maldives has to offer and experience the Maldives sea, sun, and sand as we advertise all over the globe.